Hello and welcome to Sense Business YouTube channel. In today's video, we will talk about 2.2 Organization and Management. I hope you've enjoyed the previous lessons and I hope you have watched them. If not, make sure you watch them and then come back and watch this video. So today's lesson's outcome is the following. So we will understand simple organizational charts. Um, we will talk about span of control, levels of hierarchy, and chain of command. And we will talk about some roles and responsibilities. We will talk about role of a management, functions of management, planning, organizing, and so on. We will also talk about importance of delegation. We will talk about leadership styles. Um, as you can see, these styles will cover them all, and we will also talk about the trade unions and what a trade union is and how it affects employee being part of the trade union or being a member of the trade union. So let's smash this class and get the A star we deserve. So first thing is first, I'm going to talk about organizational structure. So what is an organizational structure, you might be thinking? So this whole thing is an organizational structure. So as you can see, you have the director, you have the finance director, operations director, and so marketing director, and then you have these other people working underneath them, and then you have some more people working underneath them, and there's probably some more people working underneath them. So our organizational structure refers to how responsibility and authority is shared in a business organization. So this might be an example of some organization that has 4 levels of authority. So if this guy wants to do something, he'll have to ask him, and if this guy wants to do something, he'll have to ask him, and if this guy wants to do something, he'll have to ask him. But if this guy wants anybody to do anything, so he'll just tell him, and then they'll tell them, and that's how the authority is passed on to another level in the hierarchy organization. So level of management and division of responsibility within a business can be represented on an organizational chart, just like we spoke about it. So types of organizational structure. So there is 2 different types of organizational structure. So we have tall and we have flat organizational charts. So the tall one is these have a long chain of command and small span of control. We'll talk about both of these things later. So we'll talk about chain of command and span of control in about 2 minutes. So flat organizational charts have short chain of command and wide span of control. So advantages of organizational charts. So why do we have organizational charts? What is their benefit? So it shows how everybody is linked together in a business. So it tells how everybody in an organization is linked. So HR, operational managers, operational transport managers, how are they connected, who is on top, who is underneath, and who has more responsibility, authority, and all that. The organizational chart will tell us that. So lines of communications are clear. Motivational, as some employees can see where they belong and can plan their career path. So if you are right at the bottom of the organizational chart and there's let's say 4 levels, so if you are here and our organizational chart will tell you that you are here, so then you can get motivated and start going up and working harder to get yourself to the top. So it can be motivational for some staff. All employees are aware of which communication channel is used to reach them with messages. They know who they are accountable for and who they are accountable for. So if you are here, you know that you're responsible. You need to report to the people that are above you, and if you are here, you need to know that you already know that you're responsible for you're accountable for these guys, and you're responsible for these guys underneath you. So it shows the links and relationship between the different departments. So it might be 2-3 departments in this line, and it shows how they are connected. So give everybody a sense of belonging as they appear on the organizational chart. So this group here, if you're here, you'll have a group of people that also are in this, and you connect and you feel that you're part of a certain department, which you kind of feel the belongings. So disadvantages of an organizational chart. It will lead to poor communication and coordination across functional units, especially if it's a large and a very tall chart of organization. There might be lack of understanding across departments. They might focus more on their own goals and neglect the overall objective. So what that means is, so this department, so let's say each department that are in these chart, they will just focus on, let's say, this one and forget that the overall company's objective. So it is important that that can happen in most of the organizations. So it's important that managers manage and ensure that this doesn't happen, and focuses on the overall organizational objectives and aims rather than department uh, aims and objectives, and slow to react in response to environmental changes, because if there is a huge different layers and lots of department in a huge organization, it'll be very hard to cope with the changes, and it'll take forever, and it'll take a very long time for these changes to happen and for them to respond to these changes. Like I said earlier, we'll talk about chain of command. So what is chain of command? The power and authority is passed down from the top of the organization to a lower employee. So that is what chain of command is. Instructions are passed on from senior manager to lower levels of management. In the below figure, there is a short chain of command, since there is only 4 levels of management shown. So chain of command simply means authority passed on from here downwards. So that's what chain of command means. So authority passed on from here all the way down is chain of command. So advantages of short chain of command. So it's faster to communicate. So the less levels there is, basically it means. So the advantages of less levels, that's what chain of command means. So the advantages of chain of command is faster communication, because if there's not too many levels, the communication is faster, and you can get a quicker response and more accurate, as there's only a few people to go through. Stronger relationship between high-level managers and the employee, because you can be in contact with your manager straight away, so you don't have to go through supervisor, head supervisor, deputy supervisor, and then to the manager. So the communication becomes and the relation becomes stronger. Communication is better, and it's quicker to make changes as well. Each manager is responsible for more employees. This encourages them to delegate more work to employees. So what that means is that, so if the chain of command chain of command managers responsible for lots of employees, so they can delegate work to people to make sure that things get done. So top managers are less remote from lower employees, so employees will be more motivated, and top managers can always stay in touch with the employees. So there's always like in some big organization, some employees, they never see the director, for example. But if this chain of command is smaller, uh, you might be seeing your director on daily or weekly basis. So that's the advantage of it. So span of control. Span of control means the number of employees working directly under a manager, and span of control. So the number of people you are directly responsible for. So our director's span of control is 2 according to this figure. This is because he or she deals with only 2 people directly. So this is our director. As you can see, he is responsible for these, so responsible for on these 2 people directly, even though he's responsible for everybody, but he's directly reporting, or these 2 people are directly reporting to him, and he's responsible for these 2 people directly. So he's basically, he has a span of control for these 2 people. So here's another example. uh, so we have a manager whose span of control is 7 because he's got 7 assistants, 7 people working for him, or so his span of control is 7. Levels of hierarchy. So what does that mean? It's quite simple. Level of hierarchy is simple. It means the number of layers in an organizational structure. So this is a hierarchy. So this whole thing is a hierarchy, and each level is levels of hierarchy. So each level, 1, 2, 3, 4. So looking at our example on the right, so which is this one, our organizational hierarchy is 4 because there is only 4 levels of authority. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means that our span of control, chain of command is 4, and the level of authority is also 4. So his span of control, so this guy's span of control will be 2. You remember that, though? Yeah, very good. So now we are going to do an activity. So you might need to, so I'll bring the questions for you. You might need to pause this video for about 5, I'll, I'll stop talking for about 5 seconds, and you can comment the answers for each of these questions below, and then we'll see if you have got the correct. So that's 1, 2, 3, and that is 4. So now I'll pause this for about 2 seconds. 5 seconds, sorry, 2 seconds too short. Great stuff. I'm sure you've got it all right. So let's just see the answers now. So here are our answers. So the first one, the span of control is 3 because the director is only responsible for 3 people. So list 2 advantages of an organizational chart. So go back to slide 5 and you will see them. The question number 3 is, in chain of command, the power and authority is passed from the lower employees of the organization to the top employees. True or false? This is false because it is passed from top to lower, not from lower to top. Question 4 was, looking at the figure below, how many levels of hierarchy is there within this organization? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you should have got 6 commented below. So perfect. Let's move on to our next topic, the role of management. So what is the role of management? The role of managers in an organization is to plan, organize, coordinate, command, control, and delegate. So these are the 6 main roles a manager has in an organization. So again, we'll go into more detail. So planning, what do we mean by planning? So set goals for the future of the organization, give the business a sense of direction and purpose, getting aims and targets for the organization or the department, plan for resources required to achieve these targets, and number of people required, the finance needed. So a manager will be responsible for all of these, and he needs to make sure that all of these are planned before the start of any task. And they also need to make sure that they plan for any unprepared activities. So everything they need to plan will be as part of their role. and that they need to organize. What do you mean by organize? They need to organize the resources, they need to allocate responsibilities to the employees, and organize people, so they can have 100 people, but he will need to make sure that he puts organize these people into the right places to ensure that everybody is knows what they are doing. And then coordinate. So when we say coordinate, we mean get together. So managers need to bring together in a business for it to succeed. So manager will need to bring people together for a business to succeed. This is called coordination. If different functional departments do not coordinate, they could be doing completely different things which does not follow any common plan, and they might not be working towards the organization's overall objectives or aims. So managers could coordinate the departments by holding regular meetings or setting up project teams with different members from different departments. This will help them focus on the organization's overall aims and objectives rather than department aims and objectives. So command. Managers are responsible to um, command, send orders. So commanding refers to guide and lead employees, which is very important in an organization. So if an organization that has managers that don't really care and don't order or lead or guide people, then that organization is in trouble and will likely to fall. So managers need to make sure that all the subordinates are following targets and deadline. It is the responsibility of manager to ensure that all tasks are completed, and therefore instruction and guidance must be provided to employees so that they can complete the task. So they are responsible to ensure that all tasks are completed and so on. So they need to supervise, coach, and support their employees to make sure that the company's overall aims and objectives are met. Control. So evaluate the performance of employees so that corrective action can be carried out if the employees are not sticking to the goals. Monitoring performance to ensure that objectives are met. If employees fail to achieve their targets, the manager must see why it has occurred and what he can do to correct it. So it's the manager's responsibility to control the performance of his or her employees, because if employees are not performing to the standards, then they are not meeting the company's overall objectives. Just gonna write a little smiley face for you. Oh, it looks like a guy with a cap, just to give your brain a little bit of break. I hope you like this. Let's put a tick on it. Okay, delegate or delegation. So passing down authority and responsibility to employees. So if you're asking somebody to do something, you're delegating your job to somebody. So delegation refers to giving but in management, delegation refers to giving an employee the responsibility and authority to do a given task. However, the final responsibility still lies with the person who delegated the job to the employee. So if something goes wrong, then you will be responsible for it. Managers cannot do all their work by themselves, so they will need to delegate. So if managers were going to do all the work, then there would be no point of employing any other people. So managers will always tend to be delegating. So why is delegation important? It is important because employees may feel more important and feel trusted. So let's say a task that requires a little bit more skill, and you assign that to somebody who you know can do the job and have given them the training, they will feel special about it and they will feel trusted that you let him do the job. And we are nearly finished, so just stick with me for 5 more minutes and I will make sure that you learn a lot of things for your exam. So let's start with leadership styles. So what do we mean by leadership styles? So leadership styles refer to different approaches used when dealing with people when in a position of authority. There are mainly three styles you need to learn for your study. So that's autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire, let it be, or leave it to be. It's a French word. We'll talk about it later. So what you need to remember is that leadership styles may be dependent on various factors. For example, type of business, so creative or supply driven, or nature of the task, so requires cooperation or not. But what you need to remember is mainly these three topics for your exam. So there's three types of leadership: that's autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. So we are going to go into autocratic. So leader is in charge and gives orders to employees. So makes decision alone, everything depends on the leader. May demotivate employees because they never get a chance to say anything because everything is done for them. In a way, employees are spoon-fed. They are never let to think for themselves. The manager does everything, the planning, the everything for them, and then they are just told what to do. Maybe an advantage for some businesses where decision needs to be made quickly. So if it's a business that requires constant change, constant quick decisions, and if there is lots of if you need to ask your employees, it's going to take lots of time. But as an autocratic manager, you don't really need to ask your staff because you have that in you naturally. You just make decisions quick, which will benefit the business. This is standard in business and armed forces organizations. So that's a little tip for you there. So democratic manager. Other employees involved in the decision making. So the democratic manager will let other employees get involved in decision making and meeting and any changes. They will get everybody on board, get everybody to make decision for help them make the decision. So communication between managers and employees is always done together. Future plans are discussed with other employees, so the manager will come and discuss future plans um, with the employees, motivate employees because they are involved. So this democratic will motivate some employees because they're involved in making decision or future plans, um, things that will affect their job. So sharing of ideas within the business, because sometimes sharing lots of ideas, getting different ideas helps a lot. So therefore, having a group discussion to make decision sometimes better, but then again it depends on the organization, like we said earlier. For autocratic, can delay discussion making. So like we said earlier, the problem with this type of management is that the decision can delay, because if you have 20, 30, 40 people working for you, you'll by the time you get the best idea out of them, it'll be forever, and it can take some time. So information about the future plans are openly communicated and discussed with employees, and final decision is made by the manager. So even though they give the ideas, employees are involved, but the final decision is always made by the manager. So the final style of management, laissez-faire French, will leave it to do. As the name says it, this style makes the board objectives of the business known to employees and leaves them to do their own decision making in organized tasks. Communication is rather difficult since a clear direction is not given. The manager has a very limited role. So this is basically just giving them the job and letting them do whatever they want, and whatever idea they have, they just go ahead and do with it. So the tips or the benefits of this type is that it can be useful when creative ideas are needed. So if you want creative ideas, you just let everybody do whatever they want, and then they will come up with a great idea. Highly motivational for employees as they are in control of their own working life, so they can do whatever they want and basically get paid for it. poor coordination in decision making, and this is because there's nobody in charge. So if nobody is in charge, nobody can actually make the decision because everybody will want their own idea to be made the final decision. So relies on good teamwork. But if there's a good teamwork, then this might somehow work out. And now I have another little activity for you which I'd like you to do. But please make sure that you take part in these activities because it helps you remember things for long term. So these are 4 questions I've prepared for you, and I'm going to pause for 2. Why do I always say 2? I'm going to pause for 5 seconds, and then I want you to comment the answers at the end of this video, or just comment them now, and then check if your answers match what I have here. So I'm going to pause this video now. Great stuff. So that's been 5 seconds. Let's see the answers. Okay, list 3 roles of management we talked about earlier. So it's planning, organizing. I hope you have one of the 3 of these. Then can you tell me why managers delegate? So managers cannot do all work by themselves, so that's why they delegate. And it helps employees feel more important and trusted. And I hope that you have got these 2 down in the comment section below. How many leadership style can you think of? How many did you think of? Did you think of all these 3? Very good if you have. What style of leadership is good to an organization and why? This is an open question, so it can be anything, but what I'll do is I'll read the comments that you have made and I'll tell you, I'll like or reply to the comment that has the good answer. So now our final topic, that is trade unions. So what is a trade union? A group of workers who have joined together to ensure their interests are protected. They negotiate with the employer or the organization, so employer is the people that you work for better conditions and treatment. They can threaten to take industrial action if their requests are denied. Industrial action can include overtime ban, so refusing to do overtime. So if an organization says from tomorrow you're working 10 hours extra a week, then you could go to your union, trade union, and they will kind of ban it or refuse to do overtime. So work at the slowest speed as it is required by the contract of employment. Strike, refusing to work at all and protest instead. You could, sorry, I jumped too quick. So strike, so you could refuse to work at all and protest it instead. Trade unions can also seek to put forward their views to the media and influence government decisions relating to the employment. So that's what trade union is. So why would somebody join trade union? So it improves working conditions, improved work environment, improved benefits for workers who are not working because they are sick, retired, or made redundant. So improved job satisfaction, advice, and financial support. So you could get some advice and financial support from your trade union member. Strength in number, a sense of belonging and unity. So you become part of a bigger, wider group that will stick up for you against organizations that are unfair. So a union member can accompany you in important investigation against you within the organization. So let's say you work in a warehouse and something bad, or you work for a company and something bad happened, which you know is not your fault, but they are trying to turn it so that it is your fault. You could have a union member represent you or be with you in the investigation to help you. So the downside to joining the trade union is it costs money to be a member. So you'll be paying a monthly or a weekly fee. You might be asked to take industrial action even if you don't agree with the union. You might not get paid during a strike. So that are the two downsides I could think of for joining a trade union. So now question time. Please let me know if you have any question in the comment section below, and I will quit this video because it's gonna be too long. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please make sure that you join me for the next lesson. Take care for now. Bye.